Donald Trump's former rivals for the Republican presidential nomination, Nikki Haley and Ron, offered full-throated endorsement of his candidacy at the party's convention in a display of unity days after he survived an assassination attempt. Haley, who had described Trump as unfit for office during her campaign, urged her supporters to vote for him over Democratic President Joe Biden for the sake of our nation. You don't have to agree with Trump 100% of the time to vote for him, Haley, a former UN ambassador and South Carolina governor, said after taking the stage to a mixture of cheers and boos. Take it from me. DeSantis, the conservative Florida governor whose campaign sputtered early in the year, received a warm welcome from as he attacked Biden as too old for the job. His right ear bandaged after Saturday's assassination attempt, Trump applauded from his box in the arena where sat alongside running mate US Senator J.D. Vance, himself a former fierce Trump critic who has become a staunch supporter, will headline the convention's third night. The show of harmony was intended to contrast the Democrats, who have spent weeks mired in intra-party tensions over whether Biden should abandon his reflection bid after his halting June debate performance against Trump. Britain's King Charles set out Prime Minister Keir Starmer's legislative agenda Wednesday, promising a government of service focused on reviving the economy and tackling issues from an acute housing shortage to a cost of living crisis. In a ceremony full of pageantry before an audience of lords and lawmakers, Charles read out the laws the government is prioritizing after Starmer's centre-left Labour Party won a large majority at this month's election. The package of more than 35 bills will focus on growing the economy, reforming planning laws to make it easier to build homes, and speeding up the delivery of major infrastructure projects and creating jobs. The King's speech, written by the government, also tried to set a new tone to British politics, promoting service rather than self-interest, something that Labour says took root over 14 years of often chaotic Conservative Party rule. The government announced legislation to speed up and streamline the planning process to help address Britain's acute housing shortage and the long delays that dog infrastructure projects. The speech also made clear the government's drive to reset relations with the European Union after years of Brexit rancor, with the King saying his ministers will seek a new security pact to strengthen cooperation. A former CIA employee and senior official at the National Security Council has been charged with serving as a secret agent for South Korea's intelligence service, the US Justice Department said. Sue Mi Terry accepted luxury goods including fancy handbags and expensive dinners at sushi restaurant in exchange for advocating South Korean government positions during media appearances, sharing non-public information with intelligence officers, and facilitating access to South Koreans official to US government officials, according to an indictment filed in federal court in Manhattan. She also admitted to the FBI that she served as a source of information for South Korean intelligence, including by passing handwritten notes from an off-the-record June 22 meeting that she participated in with Secretary of State Antony Blinken about US government policy toward North Korea, the indictment says. The rapid strides made by Indian prodigies on the battlefield of the 64 square makes five-time world champion Vishwanathan Anand believe that there may soon be a situation where two Indians are playing against each other for the world champion's crown. They could easily be each other's rivals in some years, Anand predicted at the Express Adda in Chennai on Tuesday, where he was a guest of honor with wife Aruna and India's top-ranked chess player Arjun. The trio was in conversation with Anant Goenka, executive director. The current Indian generation of chess players is so close to the top that they are sniffing most things, obviously playing with the highest stakes in an experience you have to encounter in a very raw fashion to figure out, he said. Anand, the country's first grandmaster, spearheaded a chess evolution in the country that has seen three Indians, Arjun, D. Gukesh and R. Pragananda, find a spot in the current top 10 ranks. Gukesh will challenge Dean Liren for the World Champions crown later this year. If he manages to wrest the title from the Chinese Grandmaster, he will become the youngest world champion. India's imprint in chess is also growing with an Indian-powered. Indians are growing lots of sports now, but we like imposing our own business model on it. We want something new. That's why we had the Global Chess League last year, which was this new Indian way of organizing sport. Anand said, overall, I would say that it's much easier to be a sportsperson in India than it was 20 years ago. Now you get so much support for training, for equipment, and from the audience. Asked if he sees a reflection of himself and his nice guy image in the next generation of Indian players, Anand replied, they have seen me growing up and maybe that played a part. But to be honest, they come preheated like that. The age difference is so much that they would call me sir all the time. Sometimes it's 7 times in the same sentence. It feels awkward. I tried to get them to stop once and they asked, would you like to be called uncle? They are very well brought up. I have not played them a lot recently. I played Prague in a match 6 years ago. I played Gukesh last year. It's occasional event at events. They are very little polite but not on the board. They are very competitive on the board. Amid the rumblings within the BJP in UP, State Party President Bhupender Singh Chaudhary met PM Modi in the capital on Wednesday. The meeting came a day after Chaudhary and the state's Deputy Chief Minister Keshav Prasad Maury met BJP National President JP Nadda separately on Tuesday. There have been signs of dissent emerging in the BJP state unit after the party's poor show in the Lok Sabha elections. The BJP's tally fell from 62 out of 80 seats in UP to just 33. After top CEOs and industry bodies warned the Karnataka government that his proposed law on job reservation in the private sector would drive away companies and set the clock back on progress, the state leadership on Wednesday said the bill was being withheld and the cabinet would discuss it comprehensively in the next meeting. The state cabinet had on Tuesday approved the Karnataka State Employment of Local Candidates in the Industries, Factories and Other Establishments Bill 24, which mandates 75% reservation in non-management jobs and 50% in management jobs for local candidates. The state cabinet held Tuesday approved the Karnataka State Employment of Local Candidates in the Industries these. While Biocon founder Kiran Majumdar said the proposed law should exempt highly skilled recruitment from this policy, NASSCOM and industry bodies that represent software and service companies inequably said the bill's provisions would stifle startups and force companies to relocate as local skilled talent becomes scarce. The BJP-led Haryana government Wednesday announced a 10% horizontal reservation to Agniveers in recruitment for the post of constable and forest guard among others. The announcement comes just months before the assembly elections in the state. Our government had decided to provide 10% horizontal reservation for Agniveers on the post of constable, mining guard, forest guard, jail warders and SPOs. We also decided to give a 3-year age relaxation for Agniveers recruitment in Group B and Group C post. But Agniveers first batch shall get 5-year age relaxation in recruitment for Group B and Group C post, said Chief Minister Naib Singh Saini on Wednesday. In Group C direct recruitment for civil post, Agniveers shall get 5% horizontal reservation and 1% horizontal reservation shall be provided in Group B direct recruitments if a private establishment gives an Agniveer monthly salary of 30,000 or more. Our government will provide 60,000 annually subsidy to such establishment, he added. Calling it an employment guarantee to Agniveers, the CM said if an Agniveer establishes his own business, he will be provided interest benefit on the loans up to Rs 5 lakh. Saini added, Agniveers will be given arms license on a priority basis. Also, Agniveers seeking employment in government departments will be given priority. The Agnipath scheme introduced by the BJP government at the center in 22 for short-term induction of personnel in the armed forces have faced severe criticism from several quarters, including opposition parties. It provides for recruiting those in the age bracket of 17 to 21 years for 4 years with the provision to retain 25% of them for 15 more years. Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar is learned to have spent a few hours trying his hand at calligraphy days after the Lok Sabha results were announced. The Election Commission hired a popular Delhi-based calligraphy and engraving artist to help him, sending over 1600 letters of appreciation to district level government and police officials who pitched in the smooth conduct of the general elections. Each letter had the name of the recipient handwritten in a calligraphic font, personally signed by Kumar. A day after Jammu and Kashmir Director General of Police R.R. Swain blamed mainstream and regional parties for facilitating Pakistan's infiltration into the civil society, triggered a storm in the valley. Swain's deputy said the remarks are his personal opinion. Additional Director General of Police Law and Order Vijay Kumar was speaking while overseeing arrangements for a Muharram procession. See, J&K Police is a political police force. We work professionally. ADGP Kumar told reporters when asked about DGP Swain's statement and his political reaction. This could be DG Sahib's personal opinion. We are a professional police force, apolitical and impartial. Addressing an event at the Indian Institute of Management, Jammu on Monday, DGP Swain took a dig at political parties in the UT. Pakistan successfully infiltrated all important aspects of civil society, thanks to so-called mainstream and regional politics in the valley. There is ample evidence to show that many had owned the art of running with the hare and hunting with hounds, which left both the common man and the security bewildered, frightened and confused. Swain said, visiting the homes of killed terrorists and expressing sympathy in public was normal. Swain had also accused parties of using militants to strengthen their poll prospect. While the elimination of new recruits in terrorism was allowed and tactically encouraged, those who facilitated recruitment and arranged finances were never investigated, he said. Things had come to such a pass that so-called mainstream political parties had started cultivating leaders of terror networks and sometimes directly to further their electoral prospect. The statement was criticized, with some mainstream political parties in the valley blaming the DGP for a revival of militancy and killing of soldiers in Jammu. Former CM and PDP President Mehbooba Mufti called Swain a communal fixer who waged war against the majority community and who was engaging in orchestrating political splits while forgetting his professional duties. Unfortunately, there is no accountability. By now, head should have rolled. The DG should have been sacked, Mufti said while condemning the killing of 4 soldiers in a gunfight in Jammu's Doda Monday. It has been a complete failure since the last 32 months, especially since he has been made the DG. The flurry of recent terrorist encounters in the Jammu division of Jammu and Kashmir has mostly gone against the Indian security forces, resulting in a large number of casualties. Questions are being raised on how and why, after 35 years of experience, the army, the Rashtriya Rifles in particular, is having such adverse encounters with terrorists. I have often explained at length here and elsewhere why Jammu is becoming the new Kashmir in reference to the greater Pakistani focus in the region. We may briefly analyze the situation with a few observations. It's important for Pakistan to re-establish its relevance, which was severely diminished after August 5, 19. The selected area to up the ante in Jammu includes terrain and comparative distances between locations that remain favorable to terrorists. The jungles, heights and rocky ground of the Pir Panjal and even the Kishtwar range have a large number of hideouts. These are the reasonable proximity of the LOC and the international border facilitating returns after infiltration. This is unlike the approaches to both urban and village hideouts in Kashmir, which have been difficult to sustain after the NIA's spectacular success against terror funding. We experienced mountains hideouts earlier in Hilkaka, of the Pir Panjal in 2003 and in the Hafruda and Rajwar forest in the valley. Reportedly, a trickle of infiltration over a delayed period could have led to the build-up of reasonable terrorist strength in the Jammu division hideouts. Every little information about them exists on the intelligence grid. A basic support system probably exists, with the paid overground workers available to stock the hideouts and provide some sustenance in the area where terrorists operate. While tackling the insurgency in Kashmir, perhaps we kept our responses limited to these being threat-based, and threats in Jammu did not become so evident. Two questions arise here. What are the primary and subsidiary aims of Pakistan in activating Jammu at this juncture? How can these be countered in conceptual and specific terms? My assessment is that Pakistan's primary aim is the reactivation of an effective proxy war in all J&K, notwithstanding the abrogation of Article 370. The activation of Jammu is a matter of convenience so as not to lose any further relevance, and kept elements in Kashmir equally motivated by supposed success in the Jammu region. The subsidiary aim remains the targeting of the impending assembly elections and creating the conditions to keep them from happening. A cursory analysis of both leads us to the conclusion that so far we have only seen some of the extent to which Pakistan may go to achieve its nefarious ends. It's difficult to determine the level of risk that Pakistan is willing to undertake in the execution of its aims. However, considering its political, economic and internal security situation, it's likely to take a higher risk. Yet with Pakistan, the multiple layers of strategic decision makers apart from the elected government itself make unpredictability an effective weapon. In view of the above, a full spectrum country counter strategy with a few specifics related to the context of the situation in Jammu needs to be considered. It should start with active diplomacy to convey to Pakistan and to the international community the risk involved in the reactivation of the proxy war in J&K. It should be clear that the onus of conventional conflict initiation, if it erupts, lies on Pakistan. India has to communicate internationally that Pakistan's nuclear response to threats will not deter it from securing its interest. It's important to convey that the parameters of strategic patience on India's part are in the grey zone, and the specific Pakistan actions testing these could incur a very high cost. Strategic red lines in such an environment of mistrust are dangerously blurred. The influential big powers need to sensitize Pakistan's political and military leadership. Past failures in the arena must be disregarded. Now that India's stature under NDA 3.0 is of a higher order, a fresh effort is needed. Politically, the Indian government decision to conduct Lok Sabha elections in the valley, the high turnout and the general enthusiasm witnessed all over the Union territory should clearly convey that there is a need for early assembly elections to take forward the ongoing integration of J&K. There are arguments against doing this in the prevailing environment of apparent insecurity in Jammu. My contention is that we conducted elections in 1996 even with the threat of a very low turnout. It was acceptable to us that it helped the wider perception of India internationally too, that it is a working democracy and it's fair towards people caught in the turbulence of a proxy war. In 2002, a year when 1650 terrorist-related incidents were recorded, assembly elections were conducted and successful ones at that. It is important to stay the course. We have conducted elections under much more trying conditions and can frustrate all anti-national elements ranged against this process. Postponement by a month or two to a time conducive from a climatic angle would, however, always be acceptable, and the Supreme Court would probably go along with it. Militarily, the turnaround in the security situation awaits one big successful operation. We can be confident it's not very far. With additional forces being deployed, proper orientation of troops must be carried out, especially in dealing with the civilian population and other forces such as the J&K police. Although some may not be the inclined, I firmly believe in a large operational sweep and churn of Pir Panjal South to disturb and destroy the logistics and hideouts as well as the neutralization of terrorists. Technology and the special operation group's intelligence capability must be fully exploited. Poonch, Surankot and Rajouri have already been stabilized and focus should not shift from there, while Riasi, Doda and Kathua are addressed. None of this is aligned to the army and JKP. At tactical levels, a focused return to basics will stand units in good stead. Lastly, let the media hold its horses and not pressure either the government of the army. Counter proxy war is a game of patience and setbacks are inevitable and are success. The writer is a former corps commandant of Srinagar Base 15 Corps. The victory feels surreal, a win for me and you. As a first time MP, I pledge to speak for the voiceless and the marginalized. Ikra Chaudhary. The victory feels surreal. I remember the scorching afternoon spent campaigning, my voice hoarse from addressing rallies in dusty villages under the harsh sun. I remember the scepticism, a young newcomer challenging the iron grip of the regional heavyweights. The journey was not easy, but I was fueled by stories of unemployed young people with degrees collecting dust, of farmers crippled by non-payment of sugarcane dues and vicious cycles of debt, of families shattered by lynchings and bulldozer demolitions, of lies and hatred against communities, of the ripping apart of India's social and democratic fabric. This is why I refuse to back down. This is why I fought against the powerful. My campaign resonated with voters. People saw themselves reflected in my fight for better representation. All Satish Biradari's women and underprivileged, the forgotten. I spoke of creating opportunities, not just giving out handouts. I promised to fight for fair prices for farmers and to ensure they get the dues, not eviction notices. I vowed to eradicate the strain of religious hatred and the brutal practice of lynching. I stood against bulldozer justice that destroys homes before due process can take its course. This win is not mine alone. It's a win for every voice that yearned to be heard, for every dream waiting to take flight. CRPF dogs Vast and Denby along with their handlers in Paris. They are part of the 10 canine teams that have landed in France to provide security to various venues during the Paris Olympic, which begins on July 26. Compared to the Tokyo Olympics 3 years ago, India will have marginally fewer athletes in Paris. The overall contingent size, though, will be bigger. This is because of the higher number of coaches and other support staff who will accompany the players in their bid for Olympic glory. On Wednesday, after the Sports Ministry cleared the full list, the Indian Olympic Association said 117 athletes will represent India at the Games, which begin in 8 days on July 26. In addition, there will be 140 strong support staff, taking the final tally to 257. India's contingent size for the delayed Tokyo Games was 228, including 121 athletes. In a letter addressed to Indian Olympics Association Chief P.T. Usha, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sport said that 67 support personnel will be staying inside the Games village, considering the permissible limit as per norms of the Paris Organizing Committee. Beyond that, additional coaches and other support staff of the count of 72 have been approved at cost of the government, and they will stay at the locations outside the game village. The obvious difference between Tokyo and Paris is the improved ratio between athletes and support staff, which Usha said was a conscious effort. Instead of the casual 3:1 between athletes and the support staff, we have worked hard to change it to slightly better than 1:1 ratio, said Usha in a statement on Wednesday. A quick glance of the confirmed list of support staff highlights a few aspects. Athletics and shooting, which account for a total of 50 athletes, including reserves, also boast of the most supporting officials. In shooting alone, 18 officials are said to accompany a record-breaking contingent of 21 athletes. In wrestling's case, a total of 12 staff members have been listed for the 6-member contingent. Usha, who famously finished 4th at the 84 Olympics during her playing career, lashed out at the ad hoc wrestling committee for issues surrounding Antim Pangal's team. Antim is reportedly still waiting for visas for coach Bhagat Singh, physiotherapist Hira, and sparring partner Vikas. All of them are mentioned in the list of officials approved. In its wisdom, the IQA approved ad hoc committee administering wrestling chose not to include the names of Antim's coach or physiotherapist in the long list of the names sent to the Olympic Games organizing committee, said Usha. It is strange that the responsible authorities who approved the long list of athletes, coach and support staff did not deem it fit to recommend the inclusion of Bhagat Singh or Hira or Vikas. It was only after Antim's father came to IQA a few days ago that I stepped in to have them cleared by the ministry. We are confident that despite such misleading reports, IQA will be able to facilitate a speedy processing of visa request of those coaches and support staff cleared by the ministry. India returned from the Japanese capital after their best tally in the history of the Summer Olympics with a total of 7 medals. As reported earlier, federations of 5 sports central to India's hopes have projected a combined medal haul of approximately 10. At the previous Tokyo Olympics, India won 7 medals, including a first ever gold in track and field from Neeraj Chopra in javelin. It was India's best performance at the Olympics. For Paris, the Athletics Department Federation of India has estimated that the sport would contribute 2 medals to the overall tally. Boxing has predicted 3, badminton has raised the possibility of 2-3 medals, while archery and weightlifting have put their calculations at 1 medal each. All eyes will mainly be on returning medalists from Tokyo, led by ever consistent Neeraj Chopra, who created history at the delayed 2020 games by becoming the first Indian track and field athlete to clinch gold at the event. PV Sindhu, nominated for the second flag bearer recently alongside table tennis stalwart Achanta Sharath Kamal, will be gunning for a hat-trick, while the men's hockey team will have its task cut out to equal or better their bronze that ended a 4-decade await. Weightlifter Mirabai Chanu and boxer Lavlina Borgohain will also be looking to enter an elite club to multiple medalists from India. Paris mayor took a dip Wednesday in the Seine River, fulfilling a promise to show that the long polluted waterway was clean enough to host swimming competitions during the 24 Olympics, as well as part of the opening ceremony, now only 9 days away. Daily water quality tests in early June indicated unsafe levels of E. coli bacteria, followed by recent improvements. Clad in a wetsuit and goggles, Hidalgo plunged into the river near the imposing looking City Hall, her office and the Notro. Okay. New Zealand senior players must step up to compensate for the loss of Kane Williams when the former skipper opts out part of the home summer, batsman Tom Latham said. Latham spoke to reporters on Wednesday as New Zealand's cricketer released its summer schedule, which starts with a 3-test series against England in November before white ball series against Sri Lanka and Pakistan. Latham, Williamson's deputy, said he felt a great responsibility to step up and lead. I think we have seen over many years now at times we have not had those senior guys, whether they are playing in IPL or having a rest, said the 32-year-old. The Enforcement Directorate, which raided premises of a Bihar IAS officer and former RJD MLA in Delhi and Pune with Tuesday, had been looking into the money trail in a power deal of business ties between relatives of the two. A 97 batch IAS officer Sanjeev Hans and former RJD MLA Gulab Yadav from Jhanjharpur also face a sexual assault case which was lodged in January 23 in Patna's Rupaspur police station. Both are currently out on a bail in case, while RJD has already expelled Yadav in March 22. During the searches, the ED reportedly found documents regarding a power deal in which Yadav had allegedly introduced a person to Hans. ED has reportedly found some evidence of investment of Hans and Yadav in Pune and Delhi. A Bihar government official said there are 2 things under ED scanner: a power deal in Bihar and business ties between kin of Hans and Yadav. It may lead to disproportionate assets and Prevention of Money Laundering Act cases. The ED raids the Huns premises have triggered a storm in political and bureaucratic circles as Huns hold an important position of principal secretary of the Energy Department. Earlier, Huns had held key position in health and general administration departments. Usha Chillukuri, wife of Donald Trump's vice presidential pick J.D. Vance, comes from an illustrious family of academics in Visakhapatnam. Relatives say her parents Chillukuri Radhakrishnan and Lakshmi moved to the US in 1980. Radhakrishna, relatives say, is the youngest son of C. Rama Shastri. Shastri's younger brother Dr. Chillukuri Subramanya Shastri retired as professor in the Telugu department at Andhra University and passed away in June 2009. He was a gold medalist in BA Telugu and the chief of the RSS unit in Andhra Pradesh. His wife, Professor retired Chillukuri Shantamma, 96, lives in Abidnagar and continues to take classes. I have not met her, but I always knew that she would excel. You see, it runs in the family. Her great-grandfather, her grandfather, her father, all are toppers. She follows in her footsteps. I came to know several years ago that she was married to a well-known political leader in the US. It was no wonder that she is a super achiever. Our entire family excels in academics. I am 96, but I still travel 140 km to and fro to teach physics. My husband was a Telugu topper in Andhra University. Later he joined the RSS and was chief of the Andhra unit. He dedicated his life to promoting education to all classes, she said. Kandala Srinivas Rao, a veteran advocate and a class associate of Dr. Chillukuri, also told that the family is full of academics achiever. Born in 1929, Professor Shantamma was a gold medalist in physics and started teaching at the physics department in Andhra University in 1956. Retiring only in 1989, she continues to teach classes at Andhra University and frequently travels to teach the Centurion University at Viziangaram, where she is emeritus professor. In fact, Centurion's chancellor G.S.N. Raju is the former VC of AU and a student of Shantamma. Raju told we are lucky to have someone like Professor Shantamma along ourselves. She is tenacious and refuses to give up even at the age of 96. She often talks about her relatives living in the US. Her entire family comprises super achievers including Usha. Shantamma completed her MSc from AU and earned a doctorate of science in 1956. She achieved a Fulbright scholarship in 1989 and 79 for research in spectroscopy molecules. Usha was raised in a San Diego suburb and attended Mount Carmel High School before graduating with a BA in history from Yale University in 2007. She continued her studies at the University of Cambridge, where she earned an MPhil in 2009 as a Gates Cambridge Scholar.